Hare Krishna, everybody. Welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books. And every once in a while, it happens, because we do this every day. Every once in a while, it happens on a special day, and today is the most special day. The only day that's maybe more special is Gaur Purnima, because Lord Chaitanya was Radha and Krishna combined together in the same form. But today is Radhastami, the appearance day of Srimati Radharani. So we would like to welcome all of you on this day and pray that you're having a very blissful Radhastami, hearing and chanting about the personality who is responsible for the distribution of pure devotional service throughout all the universes. She is literally, Radha and Krishna are each other's life and soul. They're one soul in two bodies. And this means that no two persons can be as close as they are. And by watching Srimati Radharani, hearing about Srimati Radharani's activities and her mentality and her consciousness, we can learn how to be a perfect devotee of Krishna. And that's why Lord Chaitanya came in the mood of Srimati Radharani, to show us how to be a perfect devotee of Krishna. In the Srimad-Bhagavatam, the soliloquies of Srimati Radharani, which are sometimes disguised as being spoken by one gopi or another, she describes in many places how every living being is a devotee except for her. That is unconditional love, and it's also unconditional humility. And these two go together. They're inseparable from one another. They have a mutual cause and effect relationship on one another. You cannot have prema unless you have dainya, or utter humility, and you can't have utter humility unless you have prema. So it seems counterintuitive that one is needed for the other, and at the same time they both have to be there. But this is the depth of spiritual understanding that is given to us by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He explains what real love is. Real love means that your love or your affection or your service or your gifts and exchanges, confidential exchanges with another person, are done exclusively for the satisfaction and pleasure of the other person, without any thought of one's own satisfaction or safety or protection or whatever. So that's the difference between love and lust. And Srimati Radharani is the personification of pure unconditional love. She is Mahabhav personified. And because of that, Krishna is always in her debt. Because Krishna, he is the cynosure of everyone's love, and he has to respond to everyone according to their degree and depth and of their love. But Srimati Radharani, and especially her intimate associates, they are completely, their love is completely going to Krishna without, and doesn't go to anybody else. And so he finally admits in the verse Napadye Ham that he's in debt to them and he cannot repay his debt to them in any way. So he says, you have to be satisfied by the service that you have achieved, and you have to be satisfied by being completely my controller. Lord Chaitanya, when he was here, he told his devotees, many of them, you have purchased me, you can sell me anywhere. Vasudeva Datta was one of them. And the reason was because Vasudeva Datta was willing to take on the sinful reactions of the whole universe, of everyone in the whole universe, just so everyone could go back to Godhead and be with Krishna. And he asked that as his only desire. And when Lord Chaitanya heard that, he started to cry. And he said, your desire is so pure and so powerful that it's already done. Krishna cannot refuse you. So Srimati Radharani's love for Krishna and her service, her pure devotional service to Krishna, is the model, is the perfection, and the way to Krishna's heart, the way to pure devotional service to Krishna, the pathway goes through Radharani. So therefore this is a very special day for us, and you can't understand these things unless your heart is pure, unless it is free from material desire, and lust and greed and anger and illusion and madness and envy and all those qualities that are superfluous to the soul. So that's why we're doing what we're doing. It's why we can do what we're doing, is by the mercy of Srimati Radharani. So we are completely dependent on her, and we will hear the Bhagavatam today in that mood. Hare Krishna. So we've reached the 10th canto of the Srimad-Bhagavatam. And Sanatana Goswami, I just happened to this morning to read Lord Chaitanya's teachings to Sanatana Goswami, and there's a chapter, the 21st chapter, it's called the opulence and sweetness of Lord Krishna. And there's a whole bunch of verses that Lord Chaitanya spoke while he was in internal consciousness, looking like a madman, to Sanatana Goswami. And after he finished glorifying Krishna in the most beautiful verses, explaining every part of his form and his heart and his consciousness in the most wonderful way, and then he said, did I say something I shouldn't have said? Probably Krishna is giving you his full mercy because he wants you to do something wonderful. So Sanatana Goswami, not long after getting that mercy from Lord Chaitanya, his full mercy, he wrote the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, and then he wrote the Sri Krishna Lila Stava, 108 prayers glorifying the Vrindavan Lila, the Vrindavan pastimes of Krishna. And the 107th prayer was a glorification of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which gives us the pastimes of Krishna. So we chant these prayers every day, but today we're going to try to chant them with a little special feeling, because this is Srimati Radharani's day. Srimad Bhagavata Mahima Stotram by Srila Sanatana Goswami, and it goes like this. Sarvastastat vipiyusha sarva vedaika satpala sarvasadanta ratnaya sarvalokaika drikprida. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad-Bhagavata Prabhu Kalidwan Dudita Ditya Shri Krishna Parivartita. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master Srimad-Bhagavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Shri Krishna. Paramananda Pataya Prema Varshakshadayate Sarvada Sarvasevyaya Shri Krishnaya Namostume. I bow down to you, who is supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are always Shri Krishna himself. Madhika Bando Matsangin Madguro Mad Mahadana Mad Nisadaga Mad Bhagya Mad Ananda Namostute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. Asadu sadhu tadayin adini chuchata kara hanamun jagadachin mam premnarit kantayospura. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So we reach the 5th chapter of the 10th canto, the meeting of Nanda Maharaj and Vasudeva, and they're meeting now. Translation, beginning with text 11.
Maharaj, we didn't read. Oh, I didn't think that we read text 10. I don't think we read.
I think you're right.
Yeah, we read.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm. Okay, thank you for that. Text 11. In the ears of the gopis were brilliantly polished, jeweled earrings, and from their necks hung metal lockets. Their hands were decorated with bangles, their dresses were of varied colors, and from their hair flowers fell onto the street like showers. Thus, while going to the house of Maharaj Nanda, the gopis, their earrings, breasts, and garlands moving, were brilliantly beautiful. Purport. The description of the gopis who were going to the house of Maharaj Nanda to welcome Krishna is especially significant. The gopis were not ordinary women, but expansions of Krishna's pleasure potency, as described in the Brahma Samhita 5:37 and 29. Ananda chinmaya rasa pratibhavitabhis tabir yaeva nija rupataya kalabhihi goloka eva nivasat yakilatma bhuto govinda maripurusham tamaham bhajami chintamani prakadasad machukalpa vriksha lakshavriteshu sudabira vipaliyantam lakshmi sahasra shatasam brahmasevyamanam govinda maripurusham tamaham bhajami. Krishna is always worshipped by the gopis wherever he goes. Therefore, Krishna is so vividly described in Srimad-Bhagavatam. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has also described Krishna in this way: Ramya Kachit Upasana Vrajavadu Vargena Ya Kalpita. All these gopis were going to offer Krishna their presentations because the gopis are eternal associates of the Lord. Now the gopis were more jubilant because of the news of Krishna's appearance in Vrindavan. Text 12. Offering blessings to the newborn child, Krishna, the wives and daughters of the cowherd men said, "May you become the king of Vraja and long maintain all its inhabitants." They sprinkled a mixture of turmeric powder, oil, and water upon the birthless Supreme Lord and offered their prayers. Text 13. Now that the all-pervading, unlimited Lord Krishna, the master of the cosmic manifestation, had arrived within the estate of Maharaja Nanda, various types of musical instruments resounded to celebrate the great festival. All of you should learn to play the instruments to celebrate every day Krishna's appearance. And to please the kirtan leaders also. Purport. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 4:7, Yada yada hidharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijam yaham. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharat, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. Whenever Krishna comes, once in the day of Brahma, he comes to the house of Nanda Maharaj in Vrindavan. Krishna is the master of all creation, Sarva Loka Maheshwaram, Bhagavad Gita 5:29. Therefore, not only in the neighborhood of Nanda Maharaj's estate, but all over the universe and in all the other universes, musical sounds celebrated the auspicious arrival of the Lord. Should we understand this? I heard today the pastime in which Lord Brahma came to visit Krishna in Dwarka. And when he arrived, he told the doorkeeper, I came to see Krishna. So then the doorkeeper went to said that someone's there to see Krishna. Krishna said, "Who is it?" And then so he asked, "Who is it?" He said, "It's Lord Brahma." So then he went back and he told Krishna, "It's Lord Brahma." Then Krishna said, "Which Lord Brahma?" And then he went back and he asked him, "Which Lord Brahma are you?" And he was confused. He said, "Tell him I'm the four-headed Brahma, the father of the four Kumaras." So he went back and told Krishna, and so Krishna said, "Okay, let him come in." So he came in, and then before he actually said what he wanted to say to him, he said, "I got a question before. You asked, which Brahma am I?" I said, "Is there more than one Brahma?" And then Krishna sat there and meditated for an instant, and all these Brahmas came from every universe. They all came instantaneously into that room. Remember we were talking yesterday about how there's room in Braj for all those cows and all those things. Well, they all came, and some of them had 100 heads. Some of them had 1,000 heads. Some of them had 1,000,000 heads. Some of them had 10 million heads. Some of them had 100 million heads. And they all fit into Krishna's room. Not only that, but they, by Krishna's unlimited potency, they couldn't see one another. All they could see in themselves and Krishna. The only person who could see them all was the four-headed Brahma who asked the question. So then in the purports, it's described that Krishna, there's a Brahma in every universe, and our universe is the smallest one, and therefore Brahma only needs four heads to take care of it. And not only that, but Krishna's pastimes, they travel through all those universes instantaneously. As soon as it's finished here, it's starting in another universe. And then as soon as it's finished there, it's starting in a new universe. So that literally, they're going on everywhere in all the universes all at once. As well as in Goloka Vrindavan, in the original Golok Vrindavan at the same time. Therefore, not only in the neighborhood of Nanda Maharaj's estate, but all over the universe and in all the other universes, musical sounds celebrated the auspicious arrival of the Lord. Text 14. In gladness, the cowherd men enjoyed the great festival by splashing one another's bodies with a mixture of yogurt, condensed milk, butter, and water. They threw butter on one another and smeared it on one another's bodies. Purport. From this statement, we can understand that 5,000 years ago, not only was there enough milk, butter, and yogurt to eat, drink, and cook with, but then when there was a festival, it would be thrown about without restriction. There was no limit to how extensively milk, butter, yogurt, and other such products were used in human society. Everyone had an ample stock of milk, and by using it in many varied milk preparations, people would keep good health in natural ways and thus enjoy life in Krishna consciousness. Text 15 and 16. The great-minded Maharaja Nanda gave clothing, ornaments, and cows in charity to the cowherd men in order to please Lord Vishnu, and thus he improved the conditions of his own son in all respects. He distributed charity to the Suttas, the Magadhas, the Vandis, and men of all other professions according to their educational qualifications, and satisfied everyone's desires. Purport. Although it has become fashionable to speak of Daridra Narayana, the words Vishnur, Arad, and Artaya do not mean that all the people satisfied by Nanda Maharaj in this great ceremony were Vishnus. They were not Daridra, nor were they Narayana. Rather, they were devotees of Narayana, and by their educational qualifications, they would satisfy Narayana. Therefore, satisfying them was an indirect way of satisfying Lord Vishnu. Mad Bhakta Pujab Jadika, Bhagavatam 11:19-21. The Lord says, worshipping my devotee is better than worshipping me directly. The Varnashram system is entirely meant for Vishnu Aradhana, worship of Lord Vishnu. Varnashrama Charavata Purushena Parak Puman Vishnur Aradhyate. The ultimate goal of life is to please Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Lord. The uncivilized man or materialistic person, however, does not know this aim of life. Nate vidu swarta gatim hi Vishnum. Bhagavatam 7:5-31. One's real self-interest lies in satisfying Lord Vishnu. Not satisfying Lord Vishnu, but instead attempting to become happy through material adjustments. Bahir Artha Manina is the wrong way for happiness. Because Vishnu is the root of everything. If Vishnu is pleased, everyone is pleased. In particular, one's children and family members become happy in all respects. Nanda Maharaj wanted to see his newborn child happy. That was his purpose. Therefore, he wanted to satisfy Lord Vishnu. And to satisfy Lord Vishnu, it was necessary to satisfy his devotees, such as the learned Brahmanas, Magadhas, and Suttas. Thus, in a roundabout way, ultimately it was Lord Vishnu who was to be satisfied. Text 17. The most fortunate Rohini, the mother of Baladev, was honored by Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda, and thus she also dressed gorgeously and decorated herself with a necklace, a garland, and other ornaments. She was busy wandering here and there to receive the women who were guests at the festival. Purport. Rohini, another wife of Vasudeva's, was also kept under the care of Nanda Maharaj with her son, Baladev. Because her husband was imprisoned by Kamsa, she was not very happy. But on the occasion of Krishna Janmashtami, not Nandotsava, when Nanda Maharaj gave dresses and ornaments to others, he also gave gorgeous garments and ornaments to Rohini, so that she could take part in the festival. Thus she also was busy receiving the women who were guests. Because of her good fortune in being able to raise Krishna and Balaram together, she is described as Mahabhaga, greatly fortunate. Text 18. O Maharaj Parikshit, the home of Nanda Maharaj is eternally the abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and His transcendental qualities, and is therefore always naturally endowed with the opulence of all wealth. Yet beginning from Lord Krishna's appearance there, it became the place for the pastimes of the goddess of fortune. Purport. As stated in the Brahma Samhita 529, Lakshmi Sahasra Shatasam Brahma Sevyamanam Govindavadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. The abode of Krishna is always served by hundreds and thousands of goddesses of fortune. Wherever Krishna goes, the goddess of fortune naturally resides with him. The chief of the goddesses of fortune is Srimati Radharani. Srimati Radharani ki!
Jai!
It's right there. Krishna's helping us out a little bit here. Therefore, Krishna's appearance in the land of Braja indicated that the chief goddess of fortune, Radharani, would also appear there very soon. How's that for a sentence for today? I'll read that again. Wherever Krishna goes, the goddess of fortune naturally resides with him. The chief of the goddesses of fortune is Srimati Radharani. Therefore, Krishna's appearance in the land of Braja indicated that the chief goddess of fortune, Radharani, would also appear there very soon, like today. Nanda Maharaj's abode was already opulent, and since Krishna had appeared, it would be opulent in all respects. So what this means is that wherever Krishna goes, he has his consort, goes with him. It's Srimati Radharani who expands herself to accompany all of the incarnations of Krishna all over the universe and even in the spiritual world. That's who Radharani is. The source of all goddesses of fortune, the chief goddess of fortune, the consort of Sri Krishna, the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, Himself, Swayam, Bhagavan. Text 19. Shukadeva Goswami continued, Therefore, my dear King Parikshit, O best protector of the Kuru dynasty, Nanda Maharaj appointed the local cowherd men to protect Gokula, and then went to Mathura to pay the yearly taxes to King Kamsa. Purport. Because the killing of babies was going on and had already become known, Nanda Maharaj was very much afraid for his newborn child. Thus he appointed the local cowherd men to protect his home and child. He wanted to go immediately to Mathura to pay the taxes due, and also to offer some presentation for the sake of his newborn son. For the protection of the child, he had worshipped various demigods and forefathers and given charity to everyone's satisfaction. Similarly, Nanda Maharaj wanted not only to pay Kamsa the yearly taxes, but also to offer some presentation so that Kamsa too would be satisfied. His only concern was how to protect his transcendental child, Krishna. Text 20. When Vasudeva heard that Nanda Maharaj, his very dear friend and brother, had come to Mathura, and already paid the taxes to Kamsa. He went to Nanda Maharaja's residence. Purport. Vasudeva and Nanda Maharaj were so intimately connected that they lived like brothers. Furthermore, it is learned from the notes of Sripad Madhvacharya that Vasudeva and Nanda Maharaj were stepbrothers. So here's the answer to the question we heard partly the other day. Vasudeva's father, Shurasena, married a Vaishya girl, and from her Nanda Maharaj was born. Later, Nanda Maharaj himself married a Vaishya girl, Yashoda. Therefore, his family is celebrated as a Vaishya family, and Krishna, identifying himself as their son, took charge of Vaishya activities. Krishigo Rakshivani Jam. So Vasudeva and Nanda Maharaj were stepbrothers. Vasudeva's father was Shurasena. Vasudeva's father, Shurasena, married a Vaishya girl, and from her Nanda Maharaj was born. So Vasudeva's father, Shurasena, was the father of Nanda Maharaj.
So like half brothers, right?
Step-brother, half-brother. Yeah, it's just the way of saying it. There's a half-brother and there's a step-brother. Therefore, his family is celebrated as a Vaishya family. Balaram represents plowing the land for agriculture and therefore always carries in his hand a plow, whereas Krishna tends cows and therefore carries a flute in his hand. Thus, the two brothers represent Krishi Raksha and Go Raksha. Text 21. When Nanda Maharaj heard that Vasudeva had come, he was overwhelmed with love and affection, being as pleased as if his body had regained its life. Seeing Vasudeva suddenly present, he got up and embraced him with both arms. Purport. Nanda Maharaj was older than Vasudeva. Therefore, Nanda Maharaj embraced him and Vasudeva offered him namaskar. Text 22. O Maharaj Parikshit, having thus been received and welcomed by Nanda Maharaj with honor, Vasudeva sat down very peacefully and inquired about his own two sons because of intense love for them. Text 23. My dear brother Nanda Maharaj, at an advanced age you had no son at all and were hopeless of having one. Therefore, that you now have a son is a sign of great fortune. Purport. At advanced age, one generally cannot beget a male child. If by chance one does beget a child at this age, the child is generally female. Thus Vasudeva indirectly asked Nanda Maharaj whether he had actually begotten a male child or a female child. Vasudeva knew that Yashoda had given birth to a female child, whom he had stolen and replaced with a male child. This was a great mystery, and Vasudeva wanted to determine whether this mystery was already known to Nanda Maharaj. On inquiring, however, he was confident that the mystery of Krishna's birth and his being placed in the care of Yashoda was still hidden. There was no danger, since Kamsa at least could not learn what had already happened. Text 24. It is also by good fortune that I am seeing you. Having obtained this opportunity, I feel as if I have taken birth again. Even though one is present in this world, to meet with intimate friends and dear relatives in this material world is extremely difficult. Purport. Vasudeva had been imprisoned by Kamsa, and therefore, although present in Mathura, he was unable to see Nanda Maharaj for many years. Therefore, when they met again, Vasudeva considered their meeting to be another birth. Text 25. Many planks and sticks unable to stay together, are carried away by the force of a river's waves. Similarly, although they are intimately related with friends and family members, we were unable to stay together because of our varied past deeds and the waves of time. Purport. Vasudeva was lamenting because he and Nanda Maharaj could not live together. Yet how could they live together? Vasudeva warns that all of us, even if intimately related, are carried away by the waves of time according to the results of past karma. 26. My dear friend Nanda Maharaj, in the place where you are living with your friends, is the forest favorable for the animals and cows? I hope there is no disease or inconvenience. The place must be full of water, grass, and other plants. Purport. For human happiness, one must care for the animals, especially the cows. Vasudeva therefore inquired whether there was a good arrangement for the animals where Nanda Maharaj lived. For the proper pursuit of human happiness, there must be arrangements for the protection of cows. This means that there must be forests and adequate pasturing grounds full of grass and water. If the animals are happy, there will be an ample supply of milk, from which human beings will benefit by deriving many milk products with which to live happily. As enjoined in the Bhagavad Gita, 1844, Krishigo Rakshivani Jam Vaishyakarma Sabhavajam. Without giving proper facilities to the animals, how can human society be happy? What do they do when they want to make the preparation a little more opulent? They throw in a little cheese, a little sour cream. Isn't it? Everywhere. Everywhere. And the pizza's got to have just the right mozzarella on it. It's eternal truth. That people are raising cattle to send to the slaughterhouse is a great sin. By this demoniac enterprise, people are ruining their chance for a truly human life. Because they are not giving any importance to the instructions of Krishna, the advancement of their so-called civilization resembles the crazy efforts of men in a lunatic asylum. So you want to stay around in a lunatic asylum, or do you want to come and be a human being? This is how we should preach. This is how Prabhupada preached to us. And therefore we're here, doing what we're doing. And he wanted all of us to do what he was doing. And I want all of you to do what I am doing. Speak like this to people and save them from a lunatic asylum. Don't stay a lunatic. Become humble. Realize how tiny we are, that we're not so important that we deserve some kind of, I don't know what, special this or special that. In this way, learn to love Krishna from the core of the heart. That's the purpose of the Srimad-Bhagavatam, the purpose of Srimati Radharani's appearance, to teach us how to love Krishna with the whole heart. Text 27. My son Baladev, being raised by you and your wife, Yashoda Devi, considers you his father and mother. Is he living very peacefully in your home with his real mother Rohini? Text 28. When one's friends and relatives are properly situated, one's religion, economic development, and sense gratification are described in the Vedic literatures are beneficial. Otherwise, if one's friends and relatives are in distress, these three cannot offer any happiness. Purport. Vasudeva regretfully informed Nanda Maharaj that although he had a wife and children, he could not properly discharge his duty of maintaining them and was therefore unhappy. Now just bear in mind that they're really in a very difficult situation, but still he's treating Nanda Maharaj so affectionately and asking all these questions. And his care is for them, not for himself, even though he's still in a very difficult situation. Text 29. So this was after Krishna was born. So that means he was in prison. And before he was killed, before Kansa was killed. So he was in prison, definitely, during this time. Nanda Maharaj said, "Alas, King Kamsa killed so many of your children, born of Devaki, and your one daughter, the youngest child of all, entered the heavenly planets." Purport. When Vasudeva understood, no, he was let go now. He's not in the prison house now. He's let go. Yeah. When Vasudeva understood from Nanda Maharaj that the mystery of Krishna's birth and his having been exchanged with Yashoda's daughter was yet undisclosed, he was happy that things were going on nicely. By saying that Vasudeva's daughter, his youngest child, had gone to the heavenly planets, Nanda Maharaj indicated that he did not know that this daughter was born of Yashoda and that Vasudeva had exchanged her with Krishna. Thus, the doubts of Vasudeva were dispelled. Text 30. Every man is certainly controlled by destiny, which determines the results of one's fruitive activities. In other words, one has a son or daughter because of unseen destiny, and when the son or daughter is no longer present, this also is due to unseen destiny. Destiny is the ultimate controller of everyone. One who knows this is never bewildered. Purport. Nanda Maharaj consoled his younger brother Vasudeva by saying that destiny is ultimately responsible for everything. Vasudeva should not be unhappy that his many children had been killed by Kamsa, or that the last child, the daughter, had gone to the heavenly planets. Text 31. Vasudeva said to Nanda Maharaj, "Now, my dear brother, since you have paid the annual taxes to Kamsa and have also seen me, do not stay in this place for many days. It is better to return to Gokula, since I know that there may be some disturbances there." Text 32. Shukadeva Goswami said, after Vasudeva advised Nanda Maharaj in this way, Nanda Maharaj and his associates, the cowherd men, took permission from Vasudeva, yoked their bulls to the bullock carts, and started riding for Gokula. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 10th canto, 5th chapter of Srimad-Bhagavatam, entitled The Meeting of Nanda Maharaj and Vasudeva. Okay, onward, Krishna soldiers. Okay, 5:26. We got a little more time. Chapter 6, the killing of the demon Putana. A summary of the 6th chapter is as follows. When Nanda Maharaj, following the instructions of Vasudeva, was returning home, he saw a great demoniac woman lying on the road, and then he heard about her death. While Nanda Maharaj, the king of Braja, was thinking about Vasudeva's words concerning disturbances in Gokula, he was a little afraid and sought shelter at the lotus feet of Sri Hari. Meanwhile, Kamsa sent to the village of Gokula a Rakshasi named Putana, who was wandering here and there, killing small babies. Of course, wherever there is no Krishna consciousness, there is the danger of such Rakshasis. But since the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself was in Gokula, Putana could accept nothing there but her own death. One day, Putana arrived from outer space in Gokula, the home of Nanda Maharaj, and by displaying her mystic power, she assumed the disguise of a very beautiful woman. Taking courage, she immediately entered Krishna's bedroom without anyone's permission. By the grace of Krishna, no one forbade her to enter the house or the room, because that was Krishna's desire. The baby Krishna, who resembled a fire covered by ashes, looked upon Putana and thought that he would have to kill this demon, the beautiful woman. Enchanted by the influence of Yogamaya and the personality of Godhead, Putana took Krishna upon her lap, and neither Rohini nor Yashoda objected. The demon Putana offered her breast for Krishna to suck, but her breast was smeared with poison. The child Krishna therefore squeezed Putana's breast so severely that in unbearable pain she had to assume her original body and fell to the ground. Then Krishna began playing on her breast just like a small child. When Krishna was playing, the gopis were pacified and took the child away to their own laps. After this incident, the gopis took precautions because of the attack of the Rakshasi. Mother Yashoda gave the child her breast to suck and then laid him in bed. Meanwhile, Nanda and his associates, the cowherd men, returned from Mathura. When they saw the great dead body of Putana, they were struck with wonder. Everyone was astonished that Vasudeva had foretold this mishap, and they praised Vasudeva for his power of foresight. The inhabitants of Braja cut the gigantic body of Putana into pieces, but because Krishna had sucked her breast, she had then been freed from all sins, and therefore when the cowherd men burned the pieces of her body in a fire, the smoke filled the air with a very pleasing fragrance. Ultimately, although Putana had desired to kill Krishna, she attained the Lord's abode. From this incident, we can gain the instruction that if one is attached to Krishna, somehow or other, even as an enemy, one ultimately attains success. What then is to be said of devotees who are naturally attached to Krishna in love? When the inhabitants of Braja heard about the killing of Putana and the welfare of the child, they were very much satisfied. Nanda Maharaj took the baby Krishna on his lap and was filled with satisfaction. Hare Krishna. So that's 5:30. We'll stop the reading there. Shri Krishna ki jai. Srimati Radharani ki jai. Gaur Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol. That was too much nice. Okay, open mic time. Because it's such a special day, you can see anything. Especially anything you know about Radharani. Everyone is struck with wonder. They can't speak. They're
Yeah, we can do it online.
Nice.
Do you have a story?
Yeah.
Well, then you can
This is from Vilas Manjari Dasi.
Vilas Manjari ki jai ho.
Jai.
Welcome aboard.
She
She's
says,
always aboard.
it says on here top fan.
What?
It says on here she's a top fan.
Yeah, she's a top fan.
She says, Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Reflection. On Lord Narasimhadev's appearance day, you were up to the canto with the Vishnu Sahasranam, and to everyone's surprise, the last verses were beautiful prayers to Lord Narasimhadev. Then on Janmashtami, you just happened to be up to the chapter called The Advent of Lord Krishna, and today, on Radharani's appearance day, The reading began with verses glorifying the gopis of Vrindavan, and the appearance of Radharani was described by Srila Prabhupada. This was all unplanned and is a wonderful mystery. It makes me feel that the Srimad-Bhagavatam is alive and reciprocating with the devotees attached to reading and hearing every day.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vilas Manjari. That was really beautiful. She's listened every day, by the way, from Australia, every single day for the last year. So that's what you get when you listen every day, like she does. That's what you get. You get the ability to give a reflection like that. That was intense. Okay, Prana.
Very nice class, by the way, about Srimati Radharani this morning.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And who else told me it was nice? Hari Ballab. Hari Ballab's one of the purest hearted persons in this yatra. He's a doctor, and all he looks like he's doing is being a doctor. But he comes and he just pays his, dandavas to me and forces me to put my foot on his head. Literally forces. I don't do that with anybody else on the whole planet. I refuse everybody, but he can't refuse him. He just, yes, you must do it. I said, okay. So he said that your class was very nice. And Krishna Kripa said also that. There you have it.
I was going to reflect about, there was, I guess, the throwing of the butter and milk goods at each other as a celebration. And did we hear that tonight? That was about, did we hear how I think I'm getting things mixed up.
No, we heard that. Oh, maybe you're mimicking.
Because it happened after the Rajasuya Yogya, also.
Yeah,
Maharaja,
that was the queens.
Yeah, the queens.
That was the queens of Krishna.
Yeah, so this is different.
Later, very much later
That's
on.
a lot later, yeah. But anyways, it's just interesting how the opulence of the cowherd village could afford that sort of thing, and we heard about how the protection of the cows. And you made that point that's human life, and
yeah, that point I was thinking of. Excuse me, interrupting your reflection, but the thing I was thinking at that time was it wasn't just in Prabhupada's purport. He brought out how opulent human society was then, because everywhere it was under the Vedic society. Everywhere it was pure. Everywhere people were living purely and taking care of the animals and having first-class happiness. They were having first-class happiness. There was plenty of jewels and gold and milk products and all the different things silk and all the different things that everyone's pleased with, even now. But because they don't have those things, they can't afford those things, they take plastic and whatever else, rayon, and they think it's nice. Sorry. Therefore, they can't be happy.
that was it. That was as much as my reflection was just pointing out how what a human society meant back then, in not just the spiritual aspects, but even material aspects, was much more opulent.
Yeah, it's not what human society meant back then. That's what human society means. Period. Hannah has something. Hannah always has something.
Sorry.
Really makes sense. Okay, so today we read Therefore, not only in the neighborhood of Nanda Maharaja's estate, but all over the universe and in all other universes, musical sounds celebrated the auspicious arrival of the Lord. You compared this to how when Krishna meditated and brought every single Brahma into his room in Dwarka, only the four-headed Brahma could see the other Brahmas. I'm wondering, does Krishna appear on the same day in every universe, or are there so many different appearance days that every day is his appearance and we just can't feel it or see it like the Brahmas who couldn't see each other?
Yeah. It's eternal. It's called Nitya Lila. That's what Nitya Lila means. It means it's going on eternally everywhere. We heard, when was it, yesterday or the day before, the sun it appears, and then it goes across, and then it seems to disappear. And in between, it's always 6 o'clock somewhere. You know, the timing, it's this time here, and then it goes here, and it's at the same time it was there. And there at the same time it was there. And at that time, so the same time is going on eternally, just in different places. So Krishna's pastimes do that. They move through all the universes, and every 6,800,000,000 years they come here to this universe. Once in a day of Brahma.
The only thing I was really thinking is like kind of what the person on cyberspace said, how it was a coincidence the day for her parents we were reading about it. Like that was the main thing that I was like in my head, like I was wondering if it was planned.
No, it wasn't planned.
I just thought of
well,
I thought that was really cool.
It was planned. That's the point. This is the way we actually realize our eyes are open and our consciousness becomes opened to how it's not possible that anything is not planned.
Yeah.
That's it.
It was extremely like
special.
Yeah.
Extremely special. Yeah. Thank you.
What I liked about today's reading is the care that Vasudeva and Nanda Maharaj give to each other about how they inquire. Like you were pointing out, actually Vasudeva was in a bad situation, being imprisoned for many, many years, all his children being killed. Nobody was able, apparently, to defend him or to help them because of Kamsa's powerful position. So he's released and he comes out and he doesn't start to complain. He's inquiring about the welfare of the others. That's so nice.
Yes.
And here Srila Prabhupada
and what was the motivation?
Well, he actually, as far as I understood it, he was, of course, loving them, but also wanting to know, without agitating him or more further, whether Nanda Maharaj knew about all the birth activities. So
he wanted to know whether it was still hidden, that Krishna, it was his son, and was like that, and he wanted to be sure that Krishna was safe. That was the ultimate motive, was to make sure that Krishna was okay.
Yes. And in the course of that, he was so kind, and also Srila Prabhupada writes that also the way that here, O Maharaj Pariksit, is text 22. Having thus been received and welcomed by Nanda Maharaj with honor, Vasudeva sat down very peacefully and inquired about his own two sons because of intense love for them. So I was just thinking that how important is this, how to speak to each other and receive each other and give honor, give respect, rather than just send a WhatsApp or like so much is lost there. If we just take the time to actually in person deal with each other, even though no matter what goes on or is not going on, there's so much that you can like pacify in just connecting with each other.
Yes, give respect. Every living being deserves respect because Krishna is in the heart of every living being, and therefore everybody is a temple of Krishna. Yes, one thing before I was going to give a reflection. I forgot. Go ahead. Jorge has the mic.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hey, Bo.
Yeah, I think one thing that I was reflecting on is that we see that normally when Krishna kills like a demon and things like this, they normally gain impersonal liberation. But you see that Putana gained a very special mercy, and we read that she actually attained the abode of Krishna. So I think something that was said is that, I mean, just think about, okay, so many people think of Krishna in so many these wrong ways, like Kamsa, and they receive liberation. Like, what's to say of people that actually are trying to love him, you know? So I think that this was just something that was very, very nice to hear, how merciful Krishna can be, you know?
Why did that happen?
Because
why did it happen that way?
From what I understand is that because he took milk from her breast, so it's like that's something that you do with the mother.
Yes.
So that's the reason that Putana gained that special mercy.
Krishna is the supreme Paramahamsa. The supreme Paramahamsa. So the Paramahamsa, the swan, Hamsa means swan, and Parama means supreme. So he's the supreme swan. He can take the milk from water. If you give a swan milk mixed with water, it has through his beak is built in such a way he can take the milk and leave the water. So a Paramahamsa lives in this world and takes the essence and leaves the rest. Takes the good and leaves the bad. Looks for the good and doesn't look for the bad.
Now, I also had, I guess, one question, because I guess it wasn't really specific unto like the abode of Krishna. Does she attain Goloka Vrindavan, or is it Vaikuntha that she attains?
Goloka Vrindavan.
Goloka
She
Vrindavan.
became a wet nurse of Krishna.
Really? Wow.
Now, I just remembered what I was going to, my reflection. I had thought about it many times before, but it really, the realization came to me very clearly that why all these demons were coming to kill Krishna. They were coming to kill babies. Not all of them knew that Krishna was Krishna. They were just killing all the babies that had been born at a certain time, a certain age. And Putana was one of the experts. She was a specialist. She loved to do that. So, all these demons that came to kill Krishna, they were sent by Kamsa. It was said right in the verse. Kamsa sent Putana. He sent all these other demons also. I remember there's one right at the end when Keshi was sent, and then it said Kamsa sent Keshi for his own death. Thinking that he was going to kill Krishna. And by that time he knew. So he told Keshi how to recognize Krishna, how Krishna was dressed and this and that. And then when Keshi was a huge horse, and he wasn't like an ordinary horse. From, in the villages in Braj, they have mainly just 1 story, 2 story at the most, but mainly 1 or 2 story houses in them. And you could see Keshi above the houses. He was huge, and he was very, very fierce and very angry, and could cause havoc. So just before he came, Madhu Mangal came to Krishna. Now Madhu Mangal is a Brahmin friend of Krishna. He's the son of Sandipani Muni. He was the son of Sandipani Muni, and it was he that Krishna saved and brought back to Sandipani and his wife. And Sandipani's mother was? Purnamasi, who is? Yogamaya. So Madhamangal is a very funny person. He's always joking. He can't, he's always making people laugh. He loves sweets. He's the real pure Brahman. He loves sweets. So he went to Krishna and he said, "Would you mind if I dressed like you? Could you lend me your clothes for today?" So, why not? Go ahead. Because if I go door to door looking like you, I'm going to get a lot more sweets. So he went out like that, and just as Keshi came, he'd been told by Kamsa what Krishna looked like. So Keshi saw Madhamangal at the end of the street, and he goes, the cart is snorting, started running at him, and Krishna knew. He knew what was happening, and he started around the door, and Yashoda said, "No, you can't go out there. That's a dangerous place." And he just looked at him and he said, "Ma," and he just ran out. And he came out, and then he brushed Madhamangal away, and then stood there in front of Keshi and went, "Come on." And he killed him.
And Madhamangal?
Huh?
And what did Madhamangal?
He kept on eating sweets. I don't know. Maybe he ate the rest of ate the rest of the sweets. Who knows?
I would have never asked for sweets again after that one.
Well, that's because you're not a pure Brahmana.
True.
Do the brahmacharis know that they have to go to that meeting tomorrow? All the brahmacharis have to go to the meeting. All the resident brahmacharis.
10 a.m. meeting.
The CPO meeting. Yeah, you have to be there at 10 o'clock in Varungal Hall. Everybody has to go. Okay. Yes.
Vilas Manjari Dasi has another question.
Okay, Vilas Manjari, doing great so far. You knocked it out of the park. You had a home run, the first one. Go ahead.
She says, I have a question about Text 11 purport. The gopis were expansions of Krishna's pleasure potency. What is the relationship between the pleasure potency and the jivas, who are described as marginal potency?
There's no relationship. The jivas are in the material world, and the three potencies, well, the soul is made up of the same substance as the residents of Vrindavan and Krishna and the pleasure potencies. So the souls are of the same nature. And when that Sat Chit Ananda soul, the consciousness is emanating from the Sat Chit Ananda. And when it comes through the material modes, depending on the mode that the body is in, then the living being will get pleasure from a different thing. It's distorted. Pleasure is actually coming, the desire for this pleasure is actually coming from the soul, but it becomes distorted. So therefore it says in the Gita, a person who is in ignorance will get happiness from different things. It uses food as an example. A person in mode of goodness will like, juicy and sweet and, healthful and pure types of food. Person in mode of passion will like chili and hot things and spicy things, and it causes distress. And those in the mode of ignorance, they like, dead carcasses and putrid things and things that have been cooked for days before. But the thing that's allowing the soul to enjoy is actually the ananda coming. It's the part of the soul. But it's reflected through the modes of nature, and therefore it appears to be happy. They appear to be happy. Therefore, you can't argue with a person who's in ignorance that meat doesn't taste good, because to them it does.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I even smell meat being cooked or see a dead carcass, I feel nauseous. I want to go the other way. I realized this in a very special, not special way, but a very kind of, I was in Kansas City. I had a bus then, Vadadara bus, and we had kind of camped out in Kansas City, and then word came that we were going to start preaching center there. So we got a house. We didn't have any money, so we got a house, just whatever we could afford. And there was a little boy, little black boy, in the next house next to us, and he got real attached to us. He heard the kirtan. He came over, was dancing in kirtan, and he really liked us. And the mother was okay with it because kept him off the streets. And so one day we ran out of butane, cooking gas, and I had to go get it because I was in charge of the party. So I said, when he heard about it, he said, "Can I go? Can I go?" I said, "You got to ask your mother." So she said, "Okay." So he came with me. So it's me and him in the van, and we went towards the place. And I made a wrong turn by mistake. I made a wrong turn, and I started going through to the slaughterhouse. In Kansas City, they have the biggest slaughterhouses in the country. And all of a sudden, I was overwhelmed. Death, the smell of death was overwhelming. And I took a big breath, I held my breath, and I just turned the car around right in the middle of the street and just put the pedal to the metal, metal to the pedal, pedal to the metal, metal to the pedal.
You said it right the first
pedal
time.
to the metal, yeah, thanks. And just went as fast as I could out of there until I couldn't breathe anymore. And then, luckily we were out of it. And then I looked at him and I said, "Did you smell that?" And he said, "What?" And then I realized, this is the modes of nature. It had to be. There was no way, or no other way. I saw it with my own, So therefore, it's very important that we become in the mode of goodness. It's very important that we follow the regulative principles. It's very important to become clean and neat and organized and regulated in our eating. Not that we eat in between meals. I'm speaking from confidence. I can say this because I've done it myself for 40 years. Never taken anything in between meals. It works. Regulate the senses. Tasmat tvam indriyanyado niyamya bhadatarshapa papmanam pajihiyenam jnana vijnana nashanam. Therefore, O Arjuna, in the very beginning, regulate the senses. And therefore you will conquer the destroyer of knowledge and self-realization, which is lust. Just helping you out a little bit, just giving a little support to your program.
Were you ever a meat eater?
Yes. I gave up eating meat in 68 or 69.
How old were you, when you stopped?
24, 25. Okay, that's it. We're stopping. There's a program in the temple for Radharani. Everybody should go. And thank you very much for that lovely special reading, as Chelsea brought out nicely. It was very special that, we started the Bhagavatam at Krishna's appearance day. And then what was it also, Balaram?
10th canto also.
10th canto we started on Krishna's appearance day. And what else? There was another one? Nishinga Day.
Shield.
Kavacha.
Yeah.
Narayana Kavacha.
Yeah, it was
Nishinga Day's appearance day. And then now we've heard, even though it's not Radharani hasn't even appeared yet in the Bhagavatam,
Hmm.
but she came out really nicely. And somebody said something about how it is that, oh no, you were likening the jiva to the pleasure potency. But the fact is that the pleasure potency, they expand. Right, it's Radharani's mood. Each one of the gopis, the intimate gopis, the eternal gopis, not necessarily the jivas that come to the spiritual world and become gopis in the spiritual world, which they're not different. They're liberated. They become nityasiddha. But those special gopis, they're expansions of Radharani's mood. Their forms are different moods of Radharani. Just like Krishna has different forms because he has a different mood in different places for the purpose of doing something specific to help his devotees or to save the situation. And the form that the devotees desire. They want to be with Krishna in a certain way, in a certain mood, so Krishna, his form comes in that way. So if we learn all these things, the science of Krishna consciousness properly, then we will have no alternative than to love Krishna. Okay, Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai, Srimati Radharani ki jai, Radhastami Maha Mahotsava ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Tomorrow's Saturday, so we'll see you at 4:30. Right? Saturday, tomorrow, Saturday? Yeah. Yeah, so we'll see you at 4:30 Central Time tomorrow. Hare Krishna.